What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and in my infinite desire to either fuel or quell my rage of the whole Batman issue, I was browsing through my usual places, and what do I come across but something that actually made me have hope for the gaming industry? What is that? But the news itself comes from Kotaku, and it turns out that the new Fire Emblem game, which looks completely badass, called Fire Emblem Fates, which is out next year on the Nintendo 3DS, is going to have same-sex marriage. Now, that doesn't bother me. I mean, why would it? But of course, people are going to flip their shit because people are people. But I think it's good because it's going to allow people to play. I mean, I know there's obviously you have gay people who will, they'll obviously put themselves in the game and make their character a representation of them, and that's good for them. I also know straight people who like to play maybe a gay or lesbian character because, they don't always play a game to have their representation in it. Maybe they play it differently. I mean, I play Final Fantasy 14, and a lot of people role play on some of those servers. I've seen some crazy shit. I don't personally role play, but I've seen some crazy shit. But anyway, it's mostly all good news. There is a slight bit of bad news included in this, but we'll start with the good news since that's the main thing anyway. Like I said a minute ago, the new Fire Emblem game is going to feature same-sex marriage, and here's what Nintendo had to say about the entire thing. We believe that our gameplay experiences should reflect the diversity of the communities in which we operate, and at the same time, we will always design the game specifications of each title by considering a variety of factors, such as the game's scenario and the nature of the gameplay. So that's good. Nintendo were taking a step towards just equality. I mean, we live in 2014, or we live in 2015, so yeah, it's good that this is happening. They've also touched on how some of the features will work for it, because if you played the previous game, Fire Emblem Awakenings, you'll know that if you had a male and female character who got married, because marriage is a pretty important part of the game in that one, what actually happens if you have a male and female character get married, they can make a baby, which is understandable. They'll still do that in this one. If you have a male main character, and you marry them up with another male character, or vice versa, if you have a female character and you marry a female character, they don't make a child, but they will unlock special combat ratings. So you're not going to get screwed on being left out. I mean, you're going to have something for that. So they're taking that into consideration. Now, unfortunately, we move on to a little bit of bad stuff. It's mostly a little bit of bad stuff, but I'll go over why I think so now in a minute. So, here's what Nintendo had to say. I know I didn't touch on what the bad thing was yet, but I'm gonna quote Nintendo on it first. Fire Emblem Fates comes in two different versions, called Conquest and Birthright editions. In the US, Conquest and Birthright will both be sold separately, as is already the case in Japan. For those who have purchased either the Conquest or Birthright edition, a third edition will be made available as downloadable content at a later stage. Details on how the three storylines will be made available in other regions will be announced at a later date. Okay, so while most people will already know about the differences, it's basically the same game, but what it's actually going to do is it's the same story and what seems to be the same battles, just told from different sides of different units. Different sides of the war, and you're going to have different units and all. So the majority of the gameplay will be the same. Why this comes as bullshit, to a certain extent, is, first off, it's two editions of the same game just for slight differences. I think that's bullshit. But obviously you can plan this next part in advance, but male marriage is exclusive to one of the versions of the game, and female marriage is exclusive to a different version. No word on which one is which yet, but I mean, we have like a year until the game comes out, so there's plenty of time to find out. And Nintendo also haven't touched on what will be the special downloadable third campaign. They haven't said anything to do with that, short of that the optional third downloadable campaign will feature both male-male and female-female marriage, so you're sorted either way, regardless of which copy of the game you needed. You're sorted into DLC. They haven't, like I said, they haven't said anything about that one yet, but in Japan it is paid DLC, so chances are we will also see it as paid DLC outside of Japan. So that's pretty much it. It's a good news, or it's basically a win for people of that persuasion. It's, it's not my preference, but that has no effect on me. Good for them, that's all I say. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about Nintendo and Fire Emblem including same-sex marriage in the game, and what you think about it splitting it to different editions, because I think that last part, the splitting into different editions thing, I think that's a little bit bullshit really, because, I mean, come on, it's like a couple of lines of code. It really doesn't matter. But anyway, let me know all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.